A smartphone is not cheap. When we spend a lot of money, we expect the smartphone to be smart, but Huawei smartphones are not smart, they are just phones. On a Huawei phone, many apps cannot be used and many functions do not work. Whoever buys a Huawei phone will be angry. Some reviews on YouTube are not very objective and fair. Like this one. This YouTuber says, "No Google? No problem." In addition, installing GMS is not recommended. Long GMS per art? First, you need to install it yourself, because Service Center will not help you install it. And installing GMS is very troublesome. Second, security issues. We need to use the files downloaded from the internet, because we don't know who made these files, so we don't know what programs are in them. Third, stability. Monjamai Sartyan. So today we are going to summarize for you what apps do not work on Huawei mobile phones. 1. You cannot play some games on Huawei. For example, Coin Master. 2. No Google Assistant for you. I must admit that I am a lazy person, and I prefer to use voice control to accomplish some tasks rather than typing. Right now Huawei's Celia supports English, not Thai. So I tried Celia in English. After using it, we find that Celia can translate for you, Celia can't use maps to navigate, Celia can't chat with you, and Celia can't tell you the answer directly when you ask her a question. I hope Huawei will launch voice assistant that supports Thai language soon. 3. All Google apps cannot be used on Huawei phones, but you can use the web version. You cannot log in with Google. And, some apps support voice input, but you cannot use voice input. For example, you can only type when using Huawei's keyboard, but you cannot use voice typing, because most apps use Google Text-to-Speech. There are also problems with payments, as you must pay through Google Pay on many apps. Four. We have a lot of problems when using Line. For example, cannot share location, cannot open location that your friend sends, cannot search for contacts by name, cannot use Line BK, cannot use Google Drive to back up your chats. 5. Some functions of some banking apps cannot be used properly. Please note that I am not telling people not to buy all of Huawei products. I just recommend that you understand the shortcomings of Huawei mobile phone before you buy it. As for Huawei's tablets, computers, watches, headphones and other products, they are great and you should definitely consider buying them. So when can you consider buying a Huawei phone? It takes 10 years for a software ecosystem to mature. Developing a software ecosystem is a very long process and it definitely cannot be completed in a year or two. Let's take a look at the history of the Google Play Store. The initial release of Google Play Store was on October 22, 2008. That was 12 years ago. When did HMS begin to develop? On May 16, 2019, the U.S. government placed Huawei on its Entity List. Because of the U.S. government restrictions, new Huawei device models made available to the public after May 16, 2019, will not be able to utilize Google's apps and services. On December 31, 2019, Yu Chengdong, CEO of Huawei Consumer Business, issued a New Year's letter of 2020 to all employees of Huawei Consumer Business, in which Yu Chengdong confirmed that Huawei should build HMS ecosystem due to the loss of GMS support for Huawei mobile phones. On January 15, 2020, Huawei launched HMS Core 4.0 worldwide. On May 16, 2019, Google stopped its cooperation with Huawei. On January 15, 2020, Huawei launched HMS Core 4.0 worldwide. Why did it take 8 months for Huawei to officially launch HMS? Why did Huawei delay making this decision? There are 2 reasons. First, when the US began implementing the Google ban, the Chinese generally believed that the USA would consider lifting the ban as long as they begged them. They thought they should consult with the USA to see if there was a solution. The Chinese believed that anything can be negotiated, and that the US would stop the Huawei ban as long as China exchanged some interests with America. Second, Huawei's leaders are well aware that the most difficult thing for a person to change is his or her habits. If a person likes dum Thai, my chob kin bar la, even if you give him some dumbu bar la, he doesn't want to eat it. We can compare Google to dum Thai that people have been eating for more than a decade, and people are used to it. Even if Huawei suddenly had some dumbu bar la, people would still choose dum Thai. Knowing that user habits are hard to change, Huawei had been striving for the chance to continue working with Google during those 8 months, and Huawei didn't think they had the ability to change user habit, so they didn't think about developing HMS at first. But later the Chinese realized that Trump wanted Huawei dead. It became clear that Trump was serious. Trump will not allow US companies to continue working with Huawei. That's when Huawei found that they had only one choice, that was to build a new ecosystem by themselves. On December 31, 2019, Huawei finally decided not to rely on Google, but to rely on themselves. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but it was one Huawei must make. From January 2020 to December 2020, in just 1 year, 70% of local apps in Thailand are available in the App Gallery. Although 70% is not enough for users, what we want is that 100% of the apps are available and work fine. But we have to admit that HMS is growing very fast. After all, the Google Play Store has been there for 12 years, and Huawei had done 70% in just 1 year. It's hard for me to imagine how much effort and hardship those people had put in this year at Huawei. Some estimate that at this rate, HMS will take about 5 to 6 years to fully mature. That means by 2025, you can consider buying Mate 90. I believe Mate 90 will not only be powerful in taking pictures, but its software will be no worse than GMS by that time. However, I still hope that people would support Huawei. 1. Google monopoly is not a good thing. For consumers, competition in an industry is a good thing. Only when there is competition can consumers have the right to choose. Since Uber pulled out from Thailand, Grab had become Thailand's only winner. Suppose Thailand has only Grab, then Grab will have the final say on the price. But with Foodpanda, Lineman and Gojek now, Grab has to launch promotions to compete with other companies. In addition to price, these companies must also gain users' affection through good services. Another example is that if there is only Honda in Thailand, then people can only choose Honda. But now Thailand has Benz, Ford and MG. Since each brand cannot be exactly the same, they must be different and have their own characteristics and advantages, so people have more choices when buying cars. HMS is not only a new option for Thailand, but also an opportunity for Thai software companies. If software companies in Thailand want to develop an email app, or a messaging app, or even a Thai language search engine, HMS will be happy to cooperate with them. For Thailand, with its own applications, national information security can be guaranteed. 2. Huawei's agents and distributors need to maintain their business. Many of them have been working with Huawei for many years. None of the Huawei shops started to cooperate with Huawei after the Google ban, because everyone knows that it has a great impact on mobile phone sales. Most of them had already cooperated with Huawei before the Google ban was issued by the United States. Huawei was very popular at that time because it had Google. Many people thought that Huawei had a chance to surpass Samsung back then, so many people chose to cooperate with Huawei at that time. The Google ban is unfair to them because they had already paid the cost to operate and sell, and they don't want Huawei to die because when it does, their stores will close down. 3. After Huawei has no Google, their sales declines, of course. But that doesn't mean Huawei can fire all their employees at once. It is impossible for other mobile phone companies to take all Huawei's employees because they don't have so many vacant jobs. So for the sake of these employees, Huawei must persevere.